Welcome back to the Capes and Tights podcast right here on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. Once again, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at Galactic Comics and Collectibles at galacticcomicsandcollectibles.com. We welcome back Zack Kaplan to the podcast once again. Zack is a main-time guest, but always fun chatting with this comic creator. Kaplan is the comic writer and creator of such comics and graphic novels as Mindset, Beyond Real, The Midnight Shadows, Dark Empty Void, Kill All Immortals, in the upcoming series over at Dark Horse, Masterminds. We chatted so much about all of his comics and the different stuff, but check out this episode. But before you do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, all those places. You can subscribe, rate, review over on Apple or Spotify or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also find us over on YouTube. And as always, you can check out capesandtights.com. This is Zack Kaplan, comic creator of Kill All Immortals and Masterminds. Enjoy, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast, Zack. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Yeah, it's actually a beautiful day here in Maine. It's actually really nice. Turned out to be nice.
It's a beautiful day here in Los Angeles, so we've got both sides covered.
It's probably really crappy in the middle of the country right now.
Summer is here. That's right.
It's probably snowing in Oklahoma right now because it's nice in the either side of the country right now. No,
well, they might win. They might win a basketball championship. So you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be snowing something out there.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, welcome back. I mean, you've been on a couple times. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it has
I'm glad.
been. Yeah.
I'm glad to chat comics with you. We actually just finished in May, for the month of May, reading Kill All Immortals for my book club at local comic book shop,
Awesome.
Galactic Comics and Collectibles. And so that was really cool to do that. And I had read obviously the issues, but to reread it again in trade format, it was really cool. I'll tell you right now, I have props to you in the design team and Dark Horse and everything for the numbers on the page breaks.
Oh yeah.
Oh, like the chapter breaks. Oh, dude, I love the way it looked, and I like how it like broke up just enough.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like there's no break, and I kind of want that break. And sometimes there's too much break, which like every
it's a beautifully designed book. It's a combination of Dark Horse design, but then Tom Muller is our main designer. He did the logo design and the cover designs on a bunch of the covers and a bunch of the issue interiors. And so Dark Horse did a great job of continuing his work in the trade. But yeah, if you guys are not familiar with Tom Muller, he's one of the premier designers in comics. He did the House of X, the whole X-Men relaunch, and his name's on so many amazing books. He does a ton of your favorite logos. So yeah,
that's so cool. I'm so pumped about that because it's just one of those things that, like I said, I'm a designer by trade too, so those things kind of point out to me. And I think I brought it up in the book club like discussion, and they're like, "Yeah, it was cool," and they moved. Like I was like, "Am I the only one?"
But
here
you were geeking out on it. That's good. I'm glad you were geeking out on it.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great discussion. That's one of those things that we found also that like you need to have one or two. We have about 15 people, sometimes like 10 come, but like. You need to have that one or two people that don't like the book. You know what I mean? Like not like hate it, but like they have to be the people who like.
I mean, I don't need them, but I guess we need them.
Well,
I guess.
for discussion for that group, it's like you need that one person to be like, well, you liked this, but we. So it was great. It was like we've read books. House of M, for an example, was one that like we had 10 people in the group, like 10 people liked it, and the group was like over in like 15 minutes. We're all like, yeah, that was great. We liked it. Cool. Let's go get a beer. It was like done. it was like there was no discussion.
Yes,
like, you need to have that one or two people who are like, I'm like jaw dropping about this book, and they're all like, "You're wrong." I'm like, "Okay, let's have a discussion. We need to have this discussion."
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, it was like I said, it was pretty good discussion. People liked it. People were happy. People sought out the idea of seeing other books from you, and they're excited for volume 2, which is really cool. So, hey, it worked. It did what it was supposed to do, and we entertained, and it was fun. And that's all you can ask for. And people bought your book.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you can't win everybody over and sell everyone over, but I mean, generally for us, the response has been it's been one of my most successful books. And I mean, at a time where comics are struggling in a lot of ways, publishers are struggling, stores are struggling, the numbers on the book have been incredible. The appetite for it was great, and so it was kind of a very easy conversation to say, let's do more, let's turn this into an ongoing, and let's let's give readers more of this. So we're very excited to be bringing it back, and we're very excited about all the hype that went around the first issue. I mean, the first series, the first
Yeah.
arc, and yeah, I think it's a people's. It's interesting as a creator to look at appetites in the marketplace and look at what people are looking for at different times. Um, it's if you look at television, like
Mhm.
Invincible being a bloody, action-packed series that is just, killing it. Just
Mhm.
people are loving that kind of energy. The Boys has been a hit for years, and there just seems to be an appetite right now, especially in the past few years, for really John Wick stuff,
Yep.
and so there's just an appetite for violent, energetic action stories. And then we're doing the things that we love to do, which is create a bit more complex of a
Mhm.
character story and explore some themes that tap into what's going on with billionaires in the world. But people really enjoy, and the art team on it, Fico Asio, just kills it on the art. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's been a real ride for us. So I'm really glad to hear that 10 or 12 of the people there in
Yeah.
there of your group loved it. We'll take
It
it.
it's it is what it is on that side, and so it's actually kind of funny too. It's actually proof is in the pudding, right? If you're getting a volume two, it's going into ongoing.
Yeah,
It's not as simple as some movies or things like that, where they're like, well, this movie made a bunch of money, so we're gonna make another one. Whereas in comics, it's in something more creative like this. I say not that comic book movies aren't creative, but like
yeah,
something along this line, with it takes a little have a lot of work to put this out, and it's not as big as movies are.
sure.
It has to be creative, it has to be good, as well as sell a lot of copies. It can't just be we sold a bunch of copies, let's move volume two, because I think people will read into that in the comic industry. I think people can see that if it just sold it really well and volume two comes out, it might not do as well. And so you know this is a disc. I always say this against Paul Blart Mall Cop, but they made a Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. If that says
Sure.
anything, like it says anything, like the first one wasn't amazing, but it sold a bunch of tickets. So they're like, oh, we might as well make a sequel to this. I think in comics, it's a little different in that sense that it still has to be really good for it to come out in a volume two, but it also needs to sell well, because there's definitely comics that are really good that just didn't catch on and don't get that
Sure.
second wind. And I'm hoping that there's a mixture of both, I'm guessing, over at Dark Horse, that it sold well, but it also was popular in fan critics
Oh
and
yeah, I
writing
mean,
critics.
yeah, that's an interesting question and
Yeah.
I like to geek out on examining comics as an industry in the
Yeah.
marketplace. And so I wonder, I'm sure there are those comics that are the Paul Blart equivalents, where they are. I can't think of any, and I probably wouldn't name any if I could
Yes,
think
you
of any
could
of
think
them.
of it.
But
Yes.
because I'm smart. But I think that there must be some that are flashy, trying to grab your attention, trying to get a lot of issues sold at the onset. Um, but over time, maybe by the end of the run, people picked it up because of some other elements, or
Yeah.
because, yeah, and then maybe they feel no, that one didn't really deliver. So but I think you see that the value of solid storytelling and creativity that comes out in the end sales, that
Hmm.
comes out in the graphic novels.
Yeah.
Seeing Kill All Immortals have great numbers on the first issue, okay, we grabbed people's attention. Did we sustain it throughout the entire series? Did we take it all the way to issue 5? Did you see that in the trade sales? Because if people had been excited about the first issue, but then been like, oh man, this sucks, we're not into this, then you would have seen that beyond industry standard drop off. You would have seen it in the trade sales. When you see boosts and when you see more longevity to something, that lets you know that something's working.
Hmm.
So and I think you're right. Movies can see some success on a first movie and they can roll into a sequel pretty fast, and that's essentially like the issue too.
Hmm.
But Paul Blart did not become a TV show and a franchise. They did a couple and they realized, okay, this is all we've got out of this one. Whereas something like John Wick uh, was not just, they didn't just grab us the first time, they grabbed us
Yes.
again and again, and that's a solid, amazing franchise because issue 3, issue 4, so to speak, it
Hmm.
built its audience, it kept its energy. And so yeah, I think comics works that way. Like you can get away with one or two, but if you want to go the distance, you have to make sure that you're giving readers not
Hmm.
just spectacle, but something
It's
more to the
more
story.
substance. Yeah.
Yeah, we tried to liken it to I mean, when we set out on this, Erica Slaughter was one of our
Yeah.
pretty major touchstones, and we kind of also looked at it and kind of said, where are the action heroes in comics? Because there are some, but I personally felt like there were not as many as there had been in the past. And
Hmm.
I think that it's daunting. It's kind of like, wow, like let's go create a something how do you do Erica Slaughter? Like that's a kind of you know, but you kind of just do it one issue at a time.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of, you just tell us, okay, here's Frey. Her name's Frey Oswald.
Mm.
She's an immortal Viking. She kicks ass. She's got some struggles. Here you go. And people
Hmm.
go, okay, I'm down with her for the first arc. You say, okay, well now what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, are you interested in coming back to see her again?
Hmm.
And we're optimistic, but we'll see. And you just see how it goes. And if it spreads and people say, hey, you should get into this, then suddenly you're building, a more of an iconic eye
Yeah.
drawing action character in comics. But it feels like the ones that go, there are some great ones that go the distance, but that was kind of what we set out to do, to see if we could pull it off. So it's been a lot of fun so far.
You have Kill All Immortals now as a trade that you mentioned. We've talked about a
Yeah.
couple times now. Is in now you get into going to Kill All Immortals 2. What's different that going into the second series? Like, is there stuff? I'm guessing at the end of issue 5, you obviously had, if we decide to go further, we have some information, we have something to go off of. But
Yeah.
like, what's different going into the second volume that you go, okay, I'm going to do it this way or that way compared to doing volume 1?
Well, from a story standpoint, I mean, if you've read Kill All Immortals,
Yeah.
there's a gigantic cliffhanger in the
Yeah.
last 3 or 4 pages.
Mm.
And if you're wondering if we just randomly inserted that cliffhanger, but we're going to do something different, no, that we told you exactly what the next season is going to be. Like it's
Yeah.
right there. Like
Yeah.
you meet the next bad guy, and that's where we're going, and that's what it is.
Okay.
But I think that it really expands the world. I mean, I
Mm.
think you initially read Kill All Immortals, and it's a story about her and her family, and there's a mystery about how are they immortal. And she's obviously trying to break free from her family's very barbaric and murderous influences. She has kind of more ideals and wants to be a better person in today's society, but she's kind of also comfortable in this kind of very
Hmm.
affluent lifestyle, and not, she has to learn that to get free she's going to have to make lots of sacrifices, but that's kind of where she's at. And so the first season is very much about her and her family and their story.
Hmm.
What's so exciting is we get to blow the whole thing out. Like now it's like, so what else is out there?
Hmm.
Where's the world go? So the second arc expands the world so much. And yeah, everything from the mythology to the other characters that you meet to the other secrets that you find out. So I feel like it's uh really loaded in terms of
Yeah.
that. So I feel like if you liked that stuff, if you liked the secret gathering, treasure hunting, globe trotting sort of aspect of the first season, the second season's just all out on that. And then with more bad guys, with more immortals, with more characters, you get the chance to have more varied fights and more
Yeah.
interesting action. So the action is not confined to the limitations of Frey and her family. There's so much more opportunity to expand it. And so, I mean, I think we never felt, it was almost like there's so many opportunities here.
Mm.
Where do we go? Like we would brainstorm together, the editors, Spencer and Connor at Dark Horse at the time, and Fico and our colorist Diago, and we would all brainstorm about where do we go? Okay, what's next? And
Yeah.
the number of possibilities and ideas that we had were just, there was so much. So yeah, I think it's really exciting. And then the art team is just firing on full cylinders now. I mean, they got their sea legs on the
Yes.
first arc. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now they're a well-oiled machine. Now Fico and Diago just like are so in tune. Hassan just, amazing on lettering. So we're bringing in cover artists that we worked with before who are just killing it, especially Oliver Barrett, who's our main cover artist for the
Mhm.
whole A series. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really a fun thing to expand. And I haven't done it I mean, this is my first ongoing series
Mm.
since Port of Earth back in 2018,
Mm.
2019, 2017, 18, 19. So yeah, it's been awesome to expand it.
I'm glad you touched on the ending and have it be like, no, we didn't just drop it in there and go some completely different
Yeah.
route. I literally just like earlier this morning we discussed my buddy Paul and I, who owns Galactic Comics and Collectibles, for the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. We discussed the Back to the Future first movie. It
Yeah.
comes out in a couple weeks or the week after this episode. We discussed the idea that like, the ending of that movie was not designed for a sequel. It was designed for their adventures are going to continue off
Right.
screen,
Right.
and they went into a sequel because it did so well and successfully and financially, and people like the movie, that they obviously placed that at the beginning of the next movie. I said, how pissed would we have all been if they like it was an amazing stinger at the end of that
Sure.
that movie that then they completely went a different direction in the second film. They would have been so
Absolutely.
pissed off. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad that it is going to continue
Absolutely.
in the
Yeah.
same way. It's like,
No, yeah, this was not just the stories that could come, but maybe we're gonna redirect and cut 2 years later, and it has nothing to do with it. Like, no, like, and the next issue, like, right from the get-go. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil anything, although we put out
yeah,
a pretty amazing teaser just
yeah.
this past week when we announced it. So if you're online, Google "Kill All Immortals 2" teaser, watch that 45 seconds. If that doesn't show you that we're coming out of the gate swinging, like, I don't know what will. Like, it literally takes what the end of the first arc, and it's like, you were waiting for that, we're not going to make you wait, here it is, boom. So it's right out of the gate. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
If
we're
that if
excited,
that
we're
doesn't
excited
hook
for,
you, if that
yeah,
doesn't hook you, go watch Paul Blart Mall Cop, and
that's right,
then
yeah.
I don't know
Maybe
why
you're a mall cop
Kevin
person.
Kevin James is
Yeah,
getting all shit on all of here for no real reason here.
he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. If you can drive
uh,
around in a scooter and get two movies out of it, like,
exactly. I think the
I have
reason I
nothing
always have it in
against
my
I
mind,
have nothing against success. I
yeah,
anytime someone hates on something that's super successful, I'm like, it's right there. Anyone can do it, but no one does it. But that
yeah.
person does it, and they're super successful. How can you hate on that?
Well, people are
So
always like, oh, why is there 17 Fast and the Furious movies? I'm like, because it makes billions of dollars. Why do you think
yeah,
it, like,
the family, the family.
That's why, yeah. Well, this is a
We're
family too,
family.
right? But yeah, so I mean, this action packed. It's like one of those things. That someone said in our book club was, and it made me laugh too. Was like, I loved reading it now, but my freaking 16-year-old me would have fucking loved this comic book just because it's like just people getting their ass kicked in every page. It's insane, and
Yeah,
it's writing those and making sense and having story to go with it, not just this movie. You know, there's the scary movies out there, the horror movies that are just there to scare you. And you get to the end
sure.
of the movie and you're like, what was that movie about? I don't remember what the movie's about. And so then the same thing with action films. There's like action films where it's like a bunch of things blows up and people get their butt
Yeah,
kicked and all that stuff. And at the end of the movie, you're like, well, the movie wasn't that good. It just was visually good.
yeah,
And Kill All Immortals has both of that. So there's some action scenes in there that are just like in your face.
yeah.
Oh my God. But then the next panel like explains it all or goes further with that or so on and so forth. So that's what's
Yeah, I
cool
mean,
about Kill All Immortals. But it's
people who
also
know me as a writer, like,
yeah,
this is my first action
yeah,
story, like,
yep,
really. I mean, I'm coming off of doing Beyond Real a year
yes,
ago, which was like a surrealist simulation theory sci-fi adventure about what it means to be an artist, and like, we had
yeah,
7 different artists on that. The whole thing is very ethereal and emotional. So yeah, this is a juxtaposition. I
yeah,
love telling really heartfelt character stories, and I love telling complex character stories. I mean, most of my stories involve characters that are flawed.
mhm,
I don't like one-dimensional characters, and I don't like characters that are on the right path. I like characters to realize that maybe they're on the wrong path, or maybe they don't have everything figured out. I like kind of throwing characters in the deep end and then watching them have to face a world that they didn't really
yeah,
understand. So that's kind of what we're hoping to do with Frey, and it very much taps into me a lot of my modern feelings about what's going on in the world, just in the broadest sense,
yeah,
just feeling frustrated with income inequality and the power kind of being on display by billionaires and super successful people, and how they feel immortal, and how we feel very mortal and very insignificant, and what are we supposed to do about that? And so it's it taps into some very timely although I don't have the answers, and Frey is trying to figure out the answers. So, but I like to kind of pose questions. That's always what I've done with my stories, and kind of say like, what are we going to do about
Yeah.
mind control on our phones, or what are we going to do about, mega cities and all this stuff. So I like to kind of come up with these interesting kind of topics. Kill All Immortals gave me the chance, but it's my most action oriented stories. So while we're having fun with that, we're still trying to provide a very complex, heartfelt character story. We want you to care about Frey, but not know where her story's going, not know what she's going to do. I think even in the first arc, she makes a couple of choices where readers are surprised and you go, oh, I did not think she was going to do that. That's very interesting. Like, okay, that makes sense, but that, I'm surprised. There's a couple moments right around issue 4 where if you haven't read it, there's some big surprises. So, but then it makes sense. So I that's kind of the character storytelling that I love to do, and we try to do that here as well.
It works out really well. It's a good balance on that too. But it's definitely one of those ones where it's like, if you want some entertainment, there's some entertainment. Like if you just want straight, if you want to, that's the cool thing to me is like if you watch Transformers over again, Michael Bay blows the hell out of things. But like you don't always watch it for what happens in the movie. Sometimes you're just watching it to see robots kick each other's asses. Like it's just some fun to watch. So like I feel like Kill All Immortals has both options for you. Read the trade straight through, get the idea of the story, understand what's going on, see the character development and the plot development. But then read it again, just watch people get their butts kicked. Like it's just one of those things. It's like the artwork is phenomenal. The action's right there. And just watch it. Sit there, hey, you're taking a dump. Just sit there and watch oh yeah, this is cool. And look through it. Like whatever. It's just one of those things that has multiple reasons why you'd want to read it over again. And I think the same thing with certain movies that like you just watch Die Hard to see some cool action going on, people falling off buildings and things like that. And that's not always for the actual story. But then you read it again. I mentioned I read issues 1 to 5 and then read it again and trade. Yeah. So
the action is incredible. Fico is a really up and coming artist. He's been killing it over at DC on several titles there, and Thiago Rocha is I can't stop working with him. He's just a fantastic colorist, and they're a powerhouse together. So it's a real visually stunning book, and it's I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of the action. Yeah.
It's so much fun, and we get more of it coming with the #1 Kill All Immortals for Volume 2 coming out in October.
Yeah, it's right at the top, October 1st. So we were almost September, and then we fell into October. So we're at the top of October, and I think you have a couple months to order it. There's some gorgeous covers. Oliver Barrett does the A cover. Then we've got an amazing artist who's Matt Taylor, who does our B, John Chang on our C cover, and then we have a cover we haven't shown off yet, but by Tula Lote, who is I think Eisner nominated as cover artist of the year. So some really killer covers coming, and then the whole series has got more great covers by some great artists. So
that's awesome. So looking forward to that. But before that, we're gonna you're going into not my next realm.
One. No.
You're going to a different side of these things, and I was lucky enough to take a look at it over the weekend and Masterminds. So you're going into this. This is cool too because they're both a Dark Horse, and you got this one like. Slashing swords and killing people and blood going everywhere, and you got Masterminds, which is a different avenue on this. Well, first of all, what's Masterminds about? And it comes out in August. What's it about for you?
Masterminds is a noir thriller, and it's about one of the most powerful secret societies in the world. It's a bit more of a mastermind circle than a secret society. If you're not familiar with this phrase, it is something that exists. It's a group of people that agree to secretively help each other to get ahead in the world by any means necessary. They've been around for a couple hundred years, and this is about the most elite, most successful mastermind circle, and about a young programmer who dares to try to join them. And he is put through a night of puzzle solving, kind of real life Squid Games, and it's very David Fincher-esque thriller. Who can you trust? Who is controlling who? What's really going on? We've got some really kind of fun puzzle solving that we present to the character, but I think the readers will all kind of play along. So we're essentially inviting everybody to see if you're smart enough to join the masterminds. Are you a mastermind? And come give it a try.
I was so pumped. And, I read your stuff. I like your stuff. So that wasn't a question anyway. But we were talking on this podcast. I was like, oh, I got a chance to look at this, and I won't spoil anything. But I was thinking to myself, like reading it, you getting things set, in stone in the first couple of pages, first couple of panels. Things are moving along, and all of a sudden, I know where it's just jumps forward, like not jumps forward, but like the gas is hit, and it's
Yeah.
just like, oh shit, we're into this now, and this is going to be fun. And it's one of those things that you need to have that footing and set this person up and give the backstory and character development on our main character. But then all
Yeah.
of a sudden, nowhere, I'm just like towards the end, I'm like, what the hell? Now I have to wait for issue two. You know what I mean? Like you need that cliffhanger of sorts to like make it so that people want
Yeah.
to read the next issue. But in the same sense, when you get to read it this far in advance too, it's one of those things that's like,
Yeah.
God
You're
damn
stuck
it.
waiting a long time. Yeah.
But then I get the opportunity to read it again when I get closer to the, like it's
So
just one of those things.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot like the ride that the character goes on in terms of trying to solve these
Yeah.
puzzles, and like the I don't know how to describe the world that he goes into, but he goes into this really kind of crazy world of real life quasi staged moments that he doesn't know if they're real or not,
Hmm.
and they're kind of testing his, not just his intelligence, but how far will he go. They're testing his morality.
Hmm.
And so it's a really kind of fun, it's a little bit horrific, it's a little bit sci-fi, it's a lot thriller. But yeah, we're really looking at the gamification of life,
Hmm.
and how I mean, I grew up, in the 80s and 90s with this idea of like, and maybe I was naive, just a naive kid, but I always thought that you work hard and you kind of get ahead.
Hmm.
And like, if you are smart and you are dedicated and you have good morals and ethics, like that's how you succeed in life.
Hmm.
That's not true. That's not true. If you look at everybody, the people who become filthy rich and filthy
Yeah.
powerful, that's not, I mean, maybe there are one or two, but
Yeah.
there are
Yes.
so many people that become rich and powerful by being horrible human beings, and they just do anything to get ahead, and they ally themselves with other
Yep.
horrible human beings. And it's almost like you have to be in on the inside. And
Hmm.
so, and then what's really sad is we've seen over the past 5 or 10 years, I don't know if it's social media, our political culture, just the world as it evolves, it almost feels like even at a lower level, like everything is a game. Social
Hmm.
media has just gamified our desire to get ahead, to get more followers, to get more whatever. And so it feels like it's changed us a little bit, this gamification of success and of
Hmm.
life. And we all know it now. We all kind of know that if I'm working 9 to 5, this is probably not going to get me there. And I'm looking for that opportunity that I can tolerate, my
Yep.
morality can accept, but how can I get ahead? And so it's really kind of about that culture. And so because it's about that, it required us to spend time with the main character. So you start off just seeing that, he's a guy who had a tough life growing up, and kind of found solace in gaming
Hmm.
and found solace in puzzle solving. And he went into the gaming industry because of that. But he's kind of a darkly shroud, kind of, like
Hmm.
he's he's yeah, he's on edge a little bit,
Yep.
and he's anxious to get ahead, but he doesn't know how, and he's frustrated and disillusioned. He's disillusioned, which taps into my own disillusionment. And yeah, but you like him.
Yeah.
You like him. He's smart. He starts off as a guy you're kind of rooting for,
You
and he's
feel for him.
trying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
he's
feel for him.
trying, and
He's gone through some struggles, and you're like, oh, I feel for this person, and then he ends up, he's a gamer. So you work when you're a gamer, and you end up being able to work in the gaming field. But then you also feel for him because like there's definitely people who work in the industry they want to work in, but they're not where they want to be
yeah,
in that
he's
industry, and
working
they
on
don't know.
he's
Yes.
working on different trees for a year. He's coding different trees, and he's like, "What is this? This is terrible." And so he's this kind of hero. He's kind of a little bit of an everyman. He's someone that
Yep.
we can relate to, and we can all identify with this idea of wanting to be further, or wanting to be seen and recognized. And then the people that see him as this mastermind circle that say, "Oh, we see you.
Yeah.
Come join us, but what are you willing to do to get ahead?" And we don't know. We don't know who's controlling who. We don't know how far he's willing to go. We don't know how dangerous and dark it's going to get. It's a ride, and it's very David Fincher-esque, both in the aesthetic and the twists and turns that kind of come out of the story. And it's a 5-issue series. It's drawn by Stephen Thompson, and who is an amazing illustrator. He did the Midnight Shadows with me, and I don't know, just got some god level stuff that his detail work and landscape work is just phenomenal.
Just trees, man. He's got those trees
he's got trees, killer trees. And Thiago Rocha is our colorist, again, a completely different style than the Midnight, completely different style than Kill All Immortals. Hassan is lettering the book for us, a fantastic. Tom Muller did my design. I love working with same people sometimes. So I
mean, you got a group of people that will do things well. You might as well just keep it in the system.
That's right.
But it's so funny because like there's certain comics that I go into it, like I need, or books or novels or anything or movies, I have to read the solicitation or the description to even get started. And there's certain comics that I forget, and I'm like halfway through, I'm like, oh, I never actually read what this is about.
Did you read this one or no?
No, I didn't. So that's the funny thing. So I think I probably did when you announced it. I probably read like the email from Dark Horse PR and was like going through them, like, oh, this is going to seem badass. So there's a couple of things that I kind of didn't get or didn't understand going into it. I didn't know going into it, and then I read the whole thing. I'm like, oh, this was phenomenal. Like the comparison to David Fincher in there. I'm like, oh, no wonder I like this book, because I love David Fincher as that director. And then the other one was like, this artwork's phenomenal. And I got to the end and I go, who is the artwork? And I'm like, oh no shit. Like I like Midnight Shadows is amazingly beautiful. So it was like one of those things where I'm like, obviously these are these things, because at the end I'm like, oh, no wonder I like this, is because obviously these things are falling into place because of the people that are creating this. But yeah, it was so much fun. It was one of those ones where there are certain comics where I read and I get through like page 3. I'm like, how many pages are left? They're good. It's just like, how many pages are left in this? And then there's this kind of comic book where I'm like getting to the last page and I'm like, oh crap, it's over. Like I didn't even think about it. I'm just going through and I'm reading this thing. I'm entrenched. Forget what was around me at the time. It was just like in this thing. The funny thing is, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I had like a Now You See Me vibe, but not nearly the same as what it is, but just for some reason with the whole mystery, like the shrouded thing around it, and the you don't know who's pulling what chains and things like that. I kind of had that. Not that it's magicians or anything like that, but I had this like Now You See Me movie vibe to it.
I feel like that's fair, because Now You See Me is another who can you trust, who's controlling who sort of thriller, and it is in the world of kind of staged experiences, staged phenomenons, and there's secrets to it. So I think it's a different story, but I think there is a lot of same atmosphere and elements to it. We actually had a hard time finding, like with Kill All Immortals, it's like, this is Secession meets John Wick, like clear as day, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is. It's Secession. Here it's like, I was hard pressed to find many comics out there that I feel like you see a lot of horror, you see a lot of action, you see a lot of fantasy, you see some comedy, you see some thrillers. Usually thrillers are crime thrillers, usually thrillers are killer thrillers. I had a hard time finding a thriller in this vein, a sort of everyman pulled into kind of noir. So if you're listening, you can hit me up and share some. If you're like, oh, ideas, you should know this one, I'd love to hear it. But the Fincher-esque is kind of what we came at a little Squid Games a little bit, but in the real world,
Yes.
But now you see,
but in the real world, not the real world Squid Games that was on Netflix, like not that kind of thing where it's like staged games that are like people survive. These people are gonna die in this.
Right. Like this. Well, also I think like Squid Games takes place like on a secret island somewhere else. Yeah. Whereas here the challenges are happening, right in the city somewhere. Like they're going to a place and they're finding a place where I don't want to give too much away. They're finding a party, they're finding a thing where it's like, oh, there's a challenge going on right here right now, with all these people around. So there's moments like that too, that people are like, oh, it's that, and you're like, oh, I think I could do this, and so there's this it's like everybody sees it. And on Squid Games, it's not like you can just walk down the street and see Squid Games happening. This is it's on a remote island somewhere. We have to like know about it. For me, it's funny because you brought up the different books. Kill All Immortals is a whole new vein for me in terms of being like action hero story. For me, this scratches the itch from Mindset, I think, a good bit. If anyone read my Vault Comics book Mindset, which was a mind control thriller, it was about a group of grad students who discover mind control, and then they put it in an app, and then they take over the world with it. Everyone's using it. They don't know who's controlling who amongst their group. They don't know if they're controlling everyone, and it's a very much kind of a Fincher-esque sort of vibe to that as well. That was done with artist John Pearson. And so I think in many ways it taps into that sort of energy. Another flawed character trying to deal with kind of modern times in a kind of noir thriller sort of storytelling thing. So yeah, I
feel like I just the David Fincher esque. I feel like now I need to do like a review eventually of Masterminds. It was like Zack Kaplan is the comic book version of David Fincher, and that would be like your thing where everybody's like modern day Stephen King or this era is like it would be your whole like every single comic or thing you put out will have this on the title on the front. It's like the modern day
some of the stuff doesn't qualify at all for like Kill All Immortals is not at all Fincher-esque. The Unreal is not at all Fincher-esque. It's like in the same way like Lemire has different lanes that he goes in, and sometimes he's doing something like Royal City, and he's drawing in and it's quirky in this, and then he's got Gideon Falls, and it's completely different. So he's got these different lanes that he likes. So I like David Fincher thriller stories a lot, and Mindset was definitely totally up that alley, and this is totally up that alley in terms of that energy. So
does it help that you now have, you're always writing comics, you're always writing ideas, you're always pitching things because you're a comic book writer and you're busy and you're trying to make a living at this, but does it help that like Kill All Immortals is this one genre and one type of comic, and then you have Masterminds over here, so while you're writing these coexisting comics that are coming out right around the same time, they are not like blending stories, or they're totally different worlds?
It helps me as far as a creative person. I think I have it happen all the time that people are like, wait a minute, you wrote that one too? So I even though almost everything has been science fiction to some degree, Kill All Mortals is a little more supernatural. Masterminds is actually a little more just thriller. So, I'm starting to come off the pure sci-fi a little bit and do a couple different things. But I think I've done so many different types of stories that, I get people going, oh, you've done this, or you've done that. And being surprised when I'm at a convention and someone finally comes to my table and they're like, wait a minute, I've read half of these books, but I didn't realize it was all you sometimes. That.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for reading them.
I'm glad you read it after us. And I'm
I understand that there is a positive and negative in that. Daniel Kraus is considered a friend of mine, friend of the podcast. Every single one of his novels are a different type of novel. Like every single one of them, it could be a thriller, it could be a horror, it could be he says I have a romance novel to write. I was like, see, but the thing is, he's known for all of that too. And then I talked recently to Philip Fracassi. He wrote a sci-fi time travel book, but he's known for horror. And I was like, the funny thing is it's more the sci-fi people who fall in love with you. They're going to be pissed the next time they have a new book come out that it's horror. Then the horror people are going to be pissed at you because you wrote a sci-fi novel. So like, it's one of those things that safe.
I think I'm safe from that because I've so diversified with different kinds of things. Some things are big world, some things are small. Dark Empty Void is a cosmic horror thriller. It's like contained, claustrophobic, annihilation, alien sort of vibe. Again, completely different than Kill All Mortals, but there are people out there that are reading both right now. So I feel like I'm probably attracting readers who like big ideas, I think my characters are all kind of likable, but maybe a little complex and a little flawed kind of characters. There are probably certain characters that you would never see me do. You'd be like, he's never going to do that kind of character. I do a certain type of a certain different series of characters. And like, I like to look at timely topical elements. So there's always some sort of like, oh, this is about mind control, but it's really about our relationship with our phones and technology. Or, this is the Breakout is about aliens abducting kids, and it's a sci-fi prison break, but it's about we passing problems on to younger generations, and we tell them to just live with it. So like there's always there's always a kind of modernality that I like to try to find, and I think that probably that commonality, as long as I'm true to that, readers will not mind as I continue to jump around subgenres and stuff like that.
Well, luckily, I think in the comic book world too, I think you have these people who are like, your name is on something and I'm going to read it because I like your style, your writing.
Yeah,
Like you write well. So like, there's definitely writers that I can't read. Like it's just one of those people that are out there that
sure.
it's like, they're good stories and they have
It's
great
not for you,
plots.
right?
It's just not for me. And so, but there's also one of those things that I know that if I dive into a Zack Kaplan comic, I'm gonna like the writing at least. Like the
Thank you.
topic might be off or the genre might be off for me, but like I'm gonna like the writing. I'm able to read this comic, no
Yeah,
problem. And
thank you.
then but there's also people out there who just see a cool title, Kill All Immortals. That seems
Tell
like a
it.
cool title.
That is a good.
Masterminds is the artwork on the cover. Like people, that's the great thing about comics too. Is like you walk into a comic book shop and you see the shelf and you see the cover. It's like, okay, that looks like a badass cover. I'm gonna pick that up and what's this about? Ask
It's
the
so
like the
important, and
retailer
as
what's it about.
just
So
yeah, I mean, it's not by happenstance. I especially put a ton of energy and perfectionism into the title, into the
yeah,
cover, into the design, into the aesthetic. It is very uh I am very well aware that that number one cover is going to sell the book or not sell the book. So you look at Kill All Mortals, for example, like Kill All Immortals is like, okay, it's a family of immortal Vikings. This
yeah.
could be done in a cheesy way, so many different ways. Like
Mhm.
this idea, people hearing, okay, what's this about? This could be cheesy so many different ways, but we don't want it to be. We want to sell you on the modern kind of energy of this. We want it to feel new and different. So what are we going to do with the cover? So the
Yeah.
cover is a fashion magazine, basically. Like Frey is
Mhm.
on issue one of the cover looking like she's modeling a suit,
Mhm.
and she's turned around in the chair, and she's holding her Viking weapons, but she looks only quasi Viking. She looks almost like she could be right out of Secession. She's
Yeah.
modernly dressed. And then there just so happens to be blood everywhere. It just so we're not telling you why. We
Yeah.
don't see any bodies. You don't see any violence. You just see blood everywhere. But she's calm about the whole thing. And it's just a different kind of aesthetic. And we did that for the whole
Yeah.
series of
Loved
covers. It
it.
was each brother was kind of styled on the boat, in the club, by the pool, and it brings the energy to it, which is a nonchalance kind of modern approach to this story.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many people told me they picked up that number one cover, the one right there,
Yeah.
just because they didn't even know anything about the book. They
Yeah.
just picked it up because of that cover. And I have the same feeling that Masterminds is going to have the same kind of impact. It's this, you see the silhouette of a guy
Yeah.
falling, and he has this giant face mask of this person watching him, staring right at us, and right in the mask is this red symbol that looks like a maze, and then there's all this like glitching around that makes you
Mhm.
feel very like the whole thing is like you're like being watched or what is real, and it just gives you vibes. It just has
Yes.
this real like mysterious energetic, what is this, like this looks dangerous, this looks interesting, and I have a feeling that people will pick that up just on the shelf I'm very focused on what energy are we trying to convey here, what aesthetic, what color palette, what design features. Like it's very important. I really my my collaborators, I'm like, we gotta, like, this has got to be right, but it's so important,
It really is. I mean, we always are told when we were young, for some reason, not to judge a book by its cover. And it's like, well, yes, there's, in the comic book world, you mentioned, issue one. It's not easy, but it's easier to sell an issue one than it is all the other issues. Just because you have to convince someone to buy issue two by having a good comic,
yeah,
in issue one. Yes, will you sell issues two, three, four, and five of this issue if the covers are really good because someone wants to collect the cover, which is really badass? But if they didn't read number one, then it's really hard for someone to pick up number two. So number one has to sell, like you said. Also, I think you're the one that mentioned it before. Is like number one cover is the one that ends up 9 times out of 10 being the trade cover. Like it ends up
absolutely.
being what promotes the comic from that beginning to the end of that comic. So having that cover is just ideal. The graphic and the design of the cover and the logo and the name obviously do something. You're telling me right now that Something's Killing the Children is a phenomenal comic book, but that
Yeah,
name has sold so many comics for them. It's
it's a
not even
great
funny.
title.
It's a great title, and so like that is does have something to do with it. And there's some misses sometimes where people either have a title that doesn't really work, or the title graphic and the logo is not great and it doesn't sell it. But
Well,
yes,
I think I remember the issue one of Something is Killing the Children, isn't it? With the trees and the
yeah,
eyes in the
yeah.
background, and
So
she's
that does
just
well
there, and
too.
she's
Yeah,
got a
she's holding the
weapon,
yeah, she's
and
holding her yeah.
yeah, it's got a little Red Riding Hood sort of energy, but it's modern. It's not emphasizing on the monsters. It's emphasizing on the character.
Mhm.
She's small, so the world is big in
Mhm.
comparison, and she's not center frame. She's left of frame, which means she's got this vast emptiness that is awaiting her.
Yep.
There's a lot of little tiny micro decisions that convey more about where the story's going and what they want you to take away from it. And it just says this is kind of a horror in the woods sort of thing, but this she's got a weapon, she's an action heroine, and this is her story. I just think it's so important. I mean, you're taught at a young age never judge a book by its cover, but that's really what they tell us in kindergarten so that we give every
Nice to each other.
boy and
Yeah.
girl a chance, right? I think we should absolutely judge books by their
Yeah.
cover. And I think the creators should put a tremendous amount of thought into their books. If
Well, it's
you don't,
beneficial. I don't
yeah,
understand it. Like,
and if you
especially in comic
and
books,
it's
they're
not
facing to you.
yeah, and it's a craft.
Yeah.
It's a craft like anything. In the same way that paneling is a great panel layouts is a craft. Coming up with the right covers, coming up with the right titles. Oh, look at that one.
This was not on purpose. I just had this literally goes to a stack of comics I need to put away. So this is just happenstance.
That's a good cover.
Top. But no, it is that. It is one of those things that it does. You have the ability to have this sitting on the shelf, looking at you. Whereas if you go to some bookstores, like novels, the spine is what you see most of the time.
Yes.
And so like there is this thing about comics and covers of books also sell books, and the title of the books also sell books.
If they're front facing,
they're front facing. But if you're the
bookstores have this whole thing of like, what are they going to front face and what are they going to put on the?
And sometimes they do the ones that look good, and some of the times they don't. But yeah, it's one of those things that in having your partnership and your team, creative team, all work together cohesively on something and making sure that hey, if someone buys this first issue, hopefully they'll buy issue 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and let's do this. And your variant covers for issues 1 and are also grabbing you in and convey a similar aesthetic to it, but they're different art styles, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it shows that you and your creative team are thinking about the story and what what you want to convey to, I've always been just so passionate and thoughtful about the story that I'm making. I know that there are some creators out there that will hand off script and move on and they're done. I always like to collaborate and geek out with my artists about the layouts and the choices that we're making, about the color schemes and what we're doing, just to try to amplify the emotion at every turn. And there's some people that let the editors run covers, and sometimes you get an editor that totally understands covers and they kill it. But I just love to be thoughtful about it and say, I understand this series, and here's what we want people to take away with this, and this is what we need the cover to convey, and the design to convey, and the logo and the title and everything. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, independent comics, creator-owned comics, it's attached to your name, like it's a Kaplan name. You have on this one, you have Sheehan's name. So you have people's names are attached to these things. It takes you a long time in the big two to be synonymous with Wolverine or X-Men or something like that. Like there's definitely people who have a bigger name who have been like, oh, they've wrote X-Men before or whatever. But there's people who are like, that's the X-Men writer or X-Men author,
right?
Or artist. For independent comics, you have a 5-issue miniseries. This is your name that's going on it too. This is how people are getting to know you. This is how you're being known. And so being very thoughtful and very methodical in making sure that this book is perfect is very important, because again, in the future, it's like, oh, Zach, you're the one that did that comic with the hideous logo.
Sorry
and
about that one.
Yeah, so,
sorry about that one.
It's your name. It's not like I said. People in the long run will buy Wolverine stories forever because it's Wolverine. So you have to try to convince people who don't know you or don't know the story to buy your book.
That's true.
And the easiest thing about that is make it look good, because that's
Yeah.
the first that we have eyes. That's what the first thing we're gonna see is to see and make it look good. So having a name, having a cover A, cover B, whatever, all look really good,
Yeah.
and then you open the book up and go,
Yeah.
"This is a badass
And
story too. I
and
want to
and
read
work with
more."
amazing artists who
Yep.
who bring the story to life in incredible ways. Yeah.
Yes, it's just so cool. So you have Kill All Immortals is available in trade right now, which
Right
is
now,
just came
it's
out in
just been
April.
out for a few
Yeah.
weeks, so
So you can get
absolutely.
it.
Like if
Go to your local comic book
yeah,
shop, go to your bookstore, go to your library and request it at the library so they can get it there. It's exciting to have that out there and get yourself prepared. Read it one, two, three times before October so you can get it
let's
in your
go.
system.
Yeah.
And then you also got Dark Empty Void trades also coming out this
Yeah,
summer in August.
that's a Mad
So
Cave
yeah,
series. It's
yeah.
about black holes with Chris Sheehan, Francisco Segala, and Justin Birch of And World, and another fantastic team, and a gorgeous book. And it's it's my most horror
Yeah,
orient
yeah,
leaning book
yeah.
I've done. And it's sci-fi cosmic horror. It's about a group of scientists that open a microscopic black hole here on Earth, and they lose control, and crazy things come out, including a human being. And it's very much like I said, Annihilation, Arrival, little
Hmm.
aliens in there. It's
Hmm.
about a psychologist who's a real mess emotionally. And of course, she's called on to save the world, and she's clearly not fit to. But her estranged husband is one of the scientists, and they need someone there right away,
Yeah.
no questions asked, who can help them solve this mystery. And so she goes in, and they eventually have to go into this kind of cosmic storm that's swirling around the black hole. And figure out how to reverse whatever mystical thing is happening. I got really into black holes and the kind of strange quantum phenomenons around them, and they're really interesting. And so yeah, we had a lot of fun geeking out on a little bit of the science and
Yeah.
creating this kind of fun sci-fi adventure.
It's awesome.
That's in it. That's a comes out as a full graphic novel in September. So
Okay, so yeah, so end of the summer, that'll be out too.
yeah,
But then also in the same time, you got Masterminds coming out, issue one coming August 27th from
yeah.
Dark Horse Comics. So that's it's very exciting. From now until the fall for you with this new stuff that's coming out. Plus, obviously, you can go to the store. You can grab Midnight Shadows. You can grab Beyond Real. Mindset. If you
Yeah.
all those stuff, if you want to grab all those things, grab all those things. And again, it's a mixture of everything. You get sci-fi, horror, like you mentioned. You get some Secession meets John Wick. That's the
Yeah.
biggest. That's amazing description for Kill All Immortals. So it's exciting. I'm pumped for
Thanks,
you and all
man.
this stuff. And so I'm a huge Dark Horse fan in general. I think the company's run really well. I think the people there are awesome. I think that the books that come out of there are just a stellar. Very few misses, if any,
Yeah.
are coming out of that publisher. So seeing you have another book there, I was pretty pumped about that too.
I've
So
had
it's
just a
exciting.
great
Yeah.
relationship with Dark Horse. It's just been, I've worked with many different publishers, and I've had
Mhm.
lots of good relationships and good experiences, but I've had a great experience with Dark Horse. Masterminds will be my fourth book. I started with Breakout, then
Mhm.
Midnight Shadows, Kill All Mortals, which is now ongoing into its second arc,
It's awesome.
and now then Masterminds. And yeah, it's just been a real great experience, and yeah, really excited to be working with them again.
It's so cool, and so like I said, it makes it easier for me too because I like working with them. So whenever I
Yeah,
need
they're
to do
great.
something around you guys, I'm like, let's do this. But yeah, that's so awesome. So yeah, Dark Empty Void comes out this summer from in a
Mad
graphic
Cave,
novel
yes.
from Mad Cave. But then you got Kill All Immortals and Masterminds over at Dark Horse, so check those out. As well as I honestly will tout the Midnight Shadows forever because that book is amazing. It's also phenomenally beautiful. It's stunning, and
Gorgeous.
so it's gorgeous. So
Gorgeous.
check that out too.
So
But yeah.
good.
And I've got Beyond Real right here, so you gotta get Beyond
I
Real too if
see
you want to
it.
get there.
Hey, look at
Yeah,
that.
it's
Which is also gorgeous. Yeah. If you've heard Beyond Real, just by the way, Beyond Real is drawn by 7 different artists, including Jordi Belair coloring, Fabiana Mascolo, Tony Vizula, Vincenzo Riccardi, Liana Kangas,
yes.
Luana Vecchio, Jorge Corona, Dennis Menhir, and Hassan Letters. The whole
Hmm.
thing. It's
Hmm.
absolutely gorgeous.
It's
Gorgeous.
it's it's beautiful as well. And anything
Yeah.
that Liana's part of, I've always been very happy with
She's
too.
a
So it's
superstar. Crazy.
but it's so much fun talking to you, Zach. I really
Thanks,
appreciate you
Justin.
coming on
Yeah.
and chatting. I'm
Justin,
next.
I think you I think it might have been your pull quote that we used in the Kill All Immortals announcement we just came out of.
Yeah, I think it's on the trade.
Yeah, it's on the trade too. Yes. So
working hard here.
We're telling everybody. We're telling everyone. Listen to Justin.
Yeah. Let's do this. Yeah, let's get it up there. I gotta. Come on, guys. I need to pay for the house. Let's go. Let's keep listening to the podcast. No, I'm just here to talk to cool people about cool comics, and I don't talk to people that I don't like their books. It's just the way it is. I mean, so not saying that the people I haven't talked to, I don't like their books. Right. There are definitely people out there who I haven't talked to yet that I do like their books, but this is one of those things that it's not like, well, I get emails from publishers of prose novels and comics who are like, hey, you got any openings in your podcast? And normally they tend to text me or email me when I'm like extremely booked, and so I actually don't have space. But normally I'm like, no, I'm gonna reach out to the people I really want to talk to, because I enjoy talking to you, but B, you make great stuff. So
it's always a pleasure.
We'll keep it going. So next time we have something out, we'll chat again.
Absolutely,
for sure. We'll make this happen. But I'm excited. People need to read
Kill All Immortals 3.
Right,
I'll be back next year for the third one.
I can't wait. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do like John Wick. You're just gonna keep having them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I mean, a spin off. As long, I don't know, we're gonna go forever, but it's a big world. It's a big opportunity. We got a character that just seems to have a lot of story to tell, and I actually just feel like there's an appetite for longer form, ongoing storytelling of action heroes. I just don't. You can get that stuff in Marvel and DC, but there's not a lot of it. There's there's plenty. You got your Transformers and your GI Joes and your stuff like that, but those are IP franchises. In terms of, we're not going to be the next Invincible, but I think there's an appetite for more stories like that. And so we're hoping to have Kill All Immortals be a bit of a boutique opportunity to have an action hero that you can relate to, connect to, come watch kick ass, and come back to from arc to arc a little bit. So I don't know how far we're going to go, but we're excited to take another round and take another lap. So
and I hope people, like I said, people need to read it. It's a phenomenal story and great artwork, and it's just, volume 2 is coming this fall, and we're excited for it. So but Zach, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Justin.
So much more. We'll have you on again in the future. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.